remained, also in this case with their jaws open, because they were shocked to see so much in there, and they were speechless. I mean, where do you go from that? That was for a lot of people a real awareness, an awakening.
Oh, it wasn't for, it's really powerful to see on a big screen, I must say. I wanted to mention that we're going to have a theatrical release on the big screen in New York and L.A. beginning May 31st for a week, an entire week in New York City at the Quad. You can go to quadcinema.com and see what showing times they'll have. We're just now setting that up, so they don't have the show times up yet, but it will be every day for a week in New York City at the Quad there I think it's in Greenwich Village. And then also in Los Angeles in the Beverly Hills area, there's the Lamley, the Artist Theater, and it's LAEMMLE.com. It's a strange name and hard to spell. I'll just spell it again, LAEMM, like mother, MMLE, Lamley.com, and that'll also be May 31st to June 6th for an entire week for a theatrical showing. So if you're on the East Coast or West Coast and can get to those, that's where you can see it on the big screen until we get a wider release. As we're sort of doing a gradual rollout of the film all over the world, but this is wonderful because we've engaged both these. They are actually Oscar qualifying theaters. It means that when it's shown there, it is then eligible for Academy Award and Oscar nomination. So I'd love to have a lot of people go to those. So we will, once we get the exact show times and information up, we'll also have those up on our site, SiriusDisclosure.com, and you can sign up for free for our newsletters and information, and we'll let you know. So that's going to be happening here fairly soon in the next few weeks there in New York and L.A.
You also said a lot of personalities were interested in this. Sometimes they can push it along even more so.
Yeah, we haven't talked. I mean, the Los Angeles premiere was just amazing, and a couple of days before the premiere, we were at a wonderful party at Paula Abdul's house, and there were all sorts of notable people in the Hollywood community and Los Angeles community there, and people like Tim Robbins and Matt Bodine and Thomas Jane and a lot of actors and actresses and people who've won Emmys and Grammys and what have you, and musicians were at this big Los Angeles premiere. I mean, it was so crazy. You were there. I mean, we had to engage 2 theaters, and those were all sold out. We could have engaged 2 more, but we had 1,100 people there. And then, of course, beforehand, we had a dinner for 90 people who had been involved with the film and helped fund it. And then afterwards, we had an after party that went till 2 a.m. for about 600 people. So it was quite a week.
Oh, it was fantastic. It was really an event. And I will do what I can. I'm leaving for Italy for a month in June. And I will be lecturing in Europe, and I'll do what I can, because I think that everyone needs to see this film, because it has all the components of what needs to be done, but it's also for the people.
Exactly, and it was funded by the people, and luckily now we have a hosting company that was able to put it up, so we have it video on demand that anyone now in the world can go there and see it. And it's in a number of languages, and we're trying to expand those to 15 to 20 languages total eventually. So we're going to be improving those over the next couple of weeks, and that's really exciting, because that means that people, who speak Portuguese or Italian or French or Spanish would be able to have it subtitled, so that they would be able to if they don't, understand English well, would be able to do that and see it in their country, German, Finnish, all kinds of languages. So it's going to be a global release is what we're building up to. This is just sort of the initial crowdfunding release over the last 2 or 3 weeks, but it's still been, I mean, even the trailer for this film has been viewed millions of times on YouTube, and the Huffington Post had an article about the Atacama humanoid that had around 4 million people view it, and the article, and it was the top-rated story on the Huffington Post for 3 or 4 days in a row, which is kind of unprecedented, particularly for a small community-funded documentary. And I have to just thank everyone who supported it, because that's how we got to this point. It's been and you think about it, it was just a year ago that we announced that we were going to try to raise the funds. And in less than a year, we completed the film and had the premiere and have gotten it out. So it's been a hard year. It's been a lot of work, but it's been very exciting.
Yeah, it has been. And I'm going back to Crestone in June before I leave for Europe. I feel I need that energy. And I know you're doing more trainings in Shasta.
Yeah, well, actually, we're going to be there in England. If you're in Europe over that period, we're going to be in the United Kingdom. We're going to be in England doing these contact protocols in the crop circles, July 27th until August 3rd. What we're going to do is that we have this 1,800-acre estate farm that we get to use at night, where we sit out under the stars and at night and use the contact protocols using remote viewing and electronic tones and lasers to make contact, which actually one of the contact events that Paula saw is actually in the film Sirius, when the film director brought his crew out to Crestone about 11 months ago, and I think he was stunned to see this disc fly right over us that then had jet interceptors come in to try to take it out. And but we're going to be doing this in the crop circles, and then what we do during the day, instead of doing classroom work or meetings, we actually every afternoon go to sacred sites like Stonehenge and Silbury Hill and West Kennet Longbarrow and Avebury and all those very famous ancient sacred places in England. And we also go to crop circles and do meditations in the crop circles and do sort of out under the sky kind of classroom situations where, I teach people the remote viewing techniques, and often I'll even do a puja in the crop circles, which is very powerful. People love that. So that's going to be going on July 27th to August 3rd. And if you want to come on that, that's also, the information on that's also on SiriusDisclosure.com. And then we will be out west in around Labor Day or in September. We're still looking at those dates and locations where we're going to do another expedition here in the United States. So we have those coming up for people. Just stay tuned and look at our website for the details that will be coming.
I'm glad you mentioned it, Steve, because that changed my life. Learning the protocols in Crestone, but you also had sounds that came from the crop circles. You have so much there that just puts you in the mood. It just has it be so easy to make that kind of contact, and contact is another important part of the film.
Yeah, well, it's really the thing that has been the part of this that's kept me going the most has been what the world can be like with these new technologies and sciences out, and also a citizens' diplomacy effort where now we have a couple of thousand teams all over the world that have learned these techniques for making contact and are having amazing contact experiences. In fact, we just did a 3-day thing here in Virginia in the Blue Ridge Mountains, and on the very last night it got crystal clear. And the last hour that we were out under the stars, we were doing this meditation and remote viewing process, and suddenly right above us was this huge blue-white disc and light that lit up the sky in a crystal clear sky, and everyone who saw it went, "Oh my God, it's unbelievable." And that craft is very much like the craft. I guess it was bigger than the one that came over us at Crestone that's in the film, but it was magnificent. And it's the craft that has the same shape and color of the one we see almost every time we do this, that has this ET that I call Kindness, who is a very evolved, it's a woman ET ambassador who has a perfectly round head, and I call her Kindness because I don't know what name she would go by on her planet, but she has sort of the perfect countenance of kindliness. And I met her the night Sherry Adamak, my assistant who died of breast cancer back in 1998, 15 years ago, whose ashes are on the tree on my land in Creston, Colorado. But Kindness appeared that night, and I had a lucid dream with Kindness, and she has come and appeared at every single one of these contact expeditions for 15 years, and she appeared Monday night, or in the Monday morning, the wee hours, right above our heads. It was absolutely stunning.
Yeah, I think she also appeared in Rio Rico in Arizona.
Yes,
yeah,
but we have a photo and video of that also. Yeah, she did.
Which means that up there, they're following what we're doing down here.
Oh, very carefully. Yes.
And that we have friends in high places, and that whatever.
Look past the White House, thankfully.
Yeah, past the White House, and whatever.
I one of the things I wanted to get into, and I know it's we only have a few more 15 more minutes, but I wanted you to bring people up to date on the research you were doing on these amazing humanoid remains that you've been looking into in Europe that you found.
Well, I finally found a crew that'll follow me there because I promised to the people in Sardinia, near Cagliari, Sardinia, that I would do something. There are people that own land there. There are farmers and people that have, manor houses and so forth that have these tombs on their land. And what they've done is they've dug them up themselves, and they find these femurs and these teeth and these bones and formal archaeology doesn't know where to place that. They don't even want to talk about it. And the people and these skeletons of these people are 15 foot tall. They're people that maybe in ancient times we used to call the Titans.
Right.
Because mythology has a lot of truth in it. And when I used to teach ancient history in Rome, in Italy, I realized that a lot of what we thought was mythology was just ET intervention, were peoples that were coming to these different countries like Greece, like ancient Mesopotamia, also in the Mediterranean. And so, this one particular man, Luigi Muscas, has written 3 books and has all kinds of photos of what he's found in his own property. And there's pictures of me with this big tooth. It is not a bovine tooth. It is not an animal tooth. It is a human tooth. And he has a jaw. He has a femur. And the thing that's amazing, even though he has archaeological remains and artifacts, which could belong to, the people that study ancient aliens, what he tells me is that they do come back. And when I ask him what he's talking about, he said, well, at night we sit around and look at the skies and we see coming from the sky these blue tubes, blue lights. And he says there's people that come down on this land in these blue lights. He said we could see them. We can see that they still walk among us. And
yes, that's exactly right. We've had this happen at Shasta, and some of them we were told were from the Arcturan star system, and they were like that. They were 12 to 15 feet tall, and we actually have some where they're not fully quite materialized, but these huge, tall, humanoid-shaped beings that are right up against this massive log house at Mount Shasta, and it had to be at least 15 feet tall.
Well, that's amazing, and the more you collect this, the more someday in the near future they'll put 2 and 2 together, and they'll realize that we've been visiting, because you have the photos that you do, and you're still doing them, aren't you? You're still doing a lot of photography.
Oh, yes, and see, the thing is that one of the whole areas that we're trying to explore is transdimensional photography, where if an ET being is not fully materialized but has gone from one star system to this one and hasn't phased in but you can begin to see them, we've learned that we can photograph them. People say, well, why don't they just completely materialize? I said, well, because it can be very dangerous. I mean, that craft that materialized and came over us in Crestone 11 months ago immediately had jet fighters on their tail, no doubt with orders to shoot to kill. So what we find is that we'll often have these contact experiences, and we are getting photographs of them. And in fact, this past weekend, we got several amazing photographs of objects right around us in the field and overhead. And I think that that's,